NFL Network and ESPN and many other sources reporting that Jim Harbaugh is meeting with the Los Angeles Chargers on Monday to begin discussing the potential of his return to the NFL. It is also being reported widely that the Raiders have interest, though we don't have the specifics of like a Monday meeting like we do with the Chargers. Mm-hmm. So was this is the beginning? Like we're just working our way through the process. We know where this thing ends.
The Chargers and Raiders are the two jobs that I think make the most sense, in that neither of them have a general manager right now. And Harbaugh is going to want personnel power. Although the Chargers have been interviewing guys for their GM position. I know they just interviewed the Bears assistant GM yesterday. He's a finalist for the gig. But I think that the Chargers make a lot of sense for Harbaugh. He played there, so he's familiar with the franchise, although it's a different franchise now. It's also in a different city. But if he can get the head coaching job and be given somewhat, not the general manager title, but have a hand in picking who the general manager is and knowing that he'll have a say in personnel decisions, I think that would be a very attractive place for him. The Raiders, to me, like with Mark Davis running things, seems it's kind of like a Dallas Jerry Jones kind of situation to me. Like I just don't know how much I would want that gig, but at the same time, Tom Brady is part of the Raiders ownership now, so there's that connection. So I think the Chargers probably make more sense in that if he can get player personnel decision, and then he also has Justin Herbert there, it's much more of a ready-made situation. So I would make them the favorite. If he leaves there without the job, I think there's a decent shot he's coming back to Michigan.
I don't know enough about these NFL jobs to figure it out.
Well, you know what you do have expertise on? Do you think Michigan, which is still fighting to get Harbaugh to sign a contract that will reportedly make him one of the highest paid coaches in all of college football, like a 10-year, 12-year deal, 100 some odd $1 million. I mean, just the what do you need? And in the contract, reportedly, the guarantee that he would not go for an NFL job in this offseason, that if he signs it, he is back for 2024. I thought when I first heard that meant that he was saying that he would not be there again. I don't think that's the case. I think that would be a ridiculous. I don't think anybody should sign a contract that says that, especially for a contract of that length. But if he signs, if Michigan says we've announced a new contract for Harbaugh, that's it for this offseason, he's going to be back for 2024. Mm-hmm. He ends up taking the Chargers job here in the next few days, maybe. Who knows? But do you think it is simple, easy, promote Sharon Moore and keep it moving? Or do you think that the University of Michigan would want to also explore hiring from the college ranks or someone else who is available?
So I think they have a lot of confidence in Sharon Moore. The president of Michigan is an enormous fan of Jim Harbaugh. So I think that he would probably lean on Harbaugh's recommendation, given like how much, those two guys like each other. I assume that Harbaugh would recommend Sharon Moore. I don't know that he would, but I assume that he would, given that that's who they chose to be the head coach when Harbaugh was suspended for a couple games this year. It's also with Kalen DeBoer being off the table. That was the other one that within the industry, it was pretty well rumored. It's like, hey, if it's not Sharon Moore, if Harbaugh leaves, people think that DeBoer wanted that job. So, I mean, he got Alabama, which I think is a better job than Michigan slightly, right? So he's not going to take the Michigan job. That probably narrows it down a good bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who you like, especially because all the other candidates that you would consider just got big contract extensions because of the Alabama job. So, yeah, no, I think it's very heavily likely to be more if Harbaugh leaves. Here's a question for you.
Yeah,
it's not on the rundown, but is Iowa ever going to hire an offensive coordinator? Like, are there just so many people applying for that job that they haven't been able to get through all the interviews yet? Like, it's a candidate pool of like thousands. Like, the job has been open for nearly 2.5 months.
Fine, I'll take the job.
handoff, 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 play action, handoff, handoff. There, I got
You
it.
forgot cash a check every 2 weeks, or well, direct deposit.
If Sharon Moore does get promoted, does that change? Do you just assume that then they're going to be fine with Alex Orji as the quarterback, Donovan Edwards, build around kind of a run game and do the same thing that when you were the active head coach against Penn State and just decided to no longer include the forward pass in the game plan in the second half? Like, are we going to look at the bully ball Michigan Wolverines now even more bullyish with an offensive line coach taking over and a quarterback who is so far at this point in his career has primarily been a running threat?
I think so, but define fine. Like when you ask if they'll be fine.
Yeah. Playoff still.
I think that in year one, they'd probably be competing for a playoff spot. I don't know if they'd be a team I'd be picking to win it.
So what is hard to know is Michigan's, unless you had somebody on the staff who's really going to shoot you straight on it. What is Michigan's opinion of Orji when he throws the ball around in practice?
Mm-hmm.
It's really understandable why they used him as they did in games, because he was a changeup to McCarthy. You wouldn't put Orji in there to throw a bunch of passes when you have a guy who's going to be probably like a 4th round pick at worst in McCarthy. So it wouldn't make sense we just don't know. Like, his usage in game was as a changeup, and they rarely let him throw, but it was a purposeful use to get him in. It's obviously going to be run heavy because one of his skills is the fact that he's extremely big and fast and hard to tackle. But we don't know the level of competence he has as a passer in terms of what he does in practice. I don't think you could infer that because they would not let him throw in games means he can't throw. It's just, it was the changeup. But there is certainly a chance that he really can't be a passer, and then that's a problem. So we'll have to, that's difficult to know. Unless Tom's heard something behind the scenes that like the guy's an awesome passer. I have not heard that, but I've not heard the contrary.
Right.
I just know that every time Orji's out there, it's a party.
It's true.
Again, Donovan Edwards has announced here on Monday morning that he will be back. Jim Harbaugh reportedly meeting with the Los Angeles Chargers. The Raiders have also expressed interest. Do you think that we have a Harbaugh resolution by Wednesday?
No, because Jim is stubborn and slow thinking. So I will always take the over on how long before he makes his decision.
Bud?
I don't know what the timeline's going to be. I'd just be guessing, honestly.
Yeah.
It could be by the end of today. It could not be until Friday. I don't know with Jim Harbaugh. Nobody ever does.
Jim Harbaugh gets to the Chargers, drafts J.J. McCarthy, and creates a quarterback competition for the 2024 season.
Love it.
Let's go.
Also, what if the Cowboys job comes open?
Do you think that I don't see that.
I don't see the personalities clashing.
Bill Belichick on the Cowboys
or Harbaugh. Like, that's the one. I mean, we're about to turn into the Pick Six podcast here now, but that, like, with the Belichick Harbaugh Cowboy stuff, Jerry Jones' ego does not want him hiring a coach who will get the credit if they win. He wants the credit, and coaches are not going to want Jerry Jones meddling with everything they do. So it doesn't make sense to me, but who knows?
Will be very interesting. We're keeping our eyes on it. Of course, CBS NFL team better than anybody else in the biz. Be sure to keep it at cbssports.com. Check it all out on your CBS Sports app. Jonathan Jones and the rest of the squad, they'll have you kept up to date all through the process.